Hey everybody, thanks for coming to dance with me. I'm Laura, and today we're going to be talking about turns in Charleston. Teach Charleston, this is an issue that persistently comes up. So let's just say Charleston turns are just like regular turns, but we kick instead of step. Boom, you're welcome, roll credits. Wait, I have to explain more? So before we get into turns, let's make sure that we're on the same page when it comes to the Charleston Basic, since everything stems from that. Number one, it's helpful to have an athletic posture. Notice we're talking about 1930s Charleston instead of 1920s Charleston. There's a lot of kicks and agility, so put yourself in a position where you can move. Number two, bounce on every beat such that your foot comes off of the floor. If you think about it, Charleston doesn't have very many steps. You have to do a whole lot on one foot. That involves balancing and traveling. So if you bounce your foot up off the floor on every beat, then your foot can kind of correct and come underneath your body, which helps your balance. And then if your body has to travel, your foot can travel underneath you, so it allows for consistent movement. Notice in the version on the right, I'm moving at a consistent pace. In the version on the left, my momentum leaps forward as I kick and then abruptly stalls when my foot lands. Number three, traveling kicks versus stationary kicks. If you're not moving, you can kick as big and as loud and whatever direction you want to, providing you're not going to hurt yourself, your partner, or anybody else on the dance floor. However, if you're traveling, you want to kick towards the floor, and I think about kicking towards the place on the floor where I'm about to step. And that helps keep things smooth and controlled. Contrast this with the version on the left, where my kicks are too high, making it difficult to balance and give me a kind of jarring wobble every time my foot hits the floor. Now that we've got that done, let's get into turns, but first, Patreon. Thank you very much, people of Patreon, for supporting me and helping to make this video free for people like you. If you want to join them, the link is in the description. So Charleston is typically done to much faster music, so the turns are typically slower. Now what I mean by that is, if your tempo was this, you might have a triple step turn. You might have a step, step, step turn. You might have even faster triple step turn. Now, on the other hand, if your tempo is this, chances are you're only going to stick with that first triple step, half turn. Timing-wise, slow triple step turns and kick step turns are the exact same turn. Even the step turns are much faster, and it's very rare that you encounter the fast triple step turn when it gets into the faster tempos. It happens, but it is more rare. So there are outliers, but generally speaking, Charleston has two different kinds of turns. You've got turns that go down the line and turns that are in place. Within those types, you've got subcategories, fast turns and slow turns. Or you could rearrange it and have the fast and slow be the top one, and then the stationary versus traveling be the other one. The hierarchy does not matter, but I'm just trying to organize it for YouTube. Now, if you see my previous video on spinning, you know it's important to step down the line. It makes it easy to travel in a consistent direction with a consistent speed. Charleston is no different, except that we don't have quite as many steps, but what we do have is kick steps. This brings me to type 1, tip 1, kick in the direction you're going. Check this idea out in a partnered setting. Here's a social dancing example. You can see here that all my kicks are traveling down the line. Even though my body might be rotating smoothly, my leg is still pointing in the direction where we are going. Even during a tuck turn, during my tuck where I'm facing Brooks, because our movement is progressing forward, my leg is also progressing forward, heading in the direction of that momentum. Let's check this idea out in the chase or S turn. Frequently, I see followers kicking to the side or back in the direction that they are coming from. This is going to make it very difficult to hold your line at a consistent speed. Tip 2, move like you want to move. Sometimes it looks like followers are traveling down the line as though they're afraid that the floor is going to drop out from underneath them. You can see here I'm leaning back, but this is going to again make it difficult to balance and to travel. I think about leaning a little bit in the direction where we're going. I'm trying to move like I love the idea, and it's going to be so much fun. Tip 3, kick towards the floor. Now, didn't we already go through this? Yes, we did, but it bears repeating because if you kick towards the floor, even though you are spinning like crazy, you are less likely to kick your leader.
Oh no!
Here's a little sequence if you want to drill this. It's always helpful to be able to spin on your own, both forwards and backwards. Of course, you don't have to just drill this idea. This idea actually exists in vernacular jazz moves. In general, if you want to work your body movement, solo jazz is where it's at. A good one that I always go to is fall off the kick step and other variations. This advice is for slower spins. For faster spins, instead of kicking, you want to do a step or run or whatever rhythm helps you think about it. My main advice is to think about the line, relax, and be aware of your partner. At these fast tempos, it's very unlikely that your lead will send you into multiple spins careening down the line. Keep your hands available and allow the speed of the turn to decay over time. It should generally just feel like one spin. After all, we are not in a frictionless environment. The issue I most frequently see is that followers, thinking about how turny the turn is, bring their arms in and kind of plunge into a second turn in an attempt to keep their momentum going, because that's what we're always told. But as a result, their leader has no chance of catching them. Breathe, bounce your butt. Consistent does not mean fast. It just means consistent, not speeding up and not slowing down. Let's move on to type 2, stationary turns. To me, these are a lot simpler. Think about your body spinning and then your legs kick underneath you in the same orientation. In this example, I'm starting off just kick stepping in place. And now, when I add the spin, my legs are just doing the exact same thing. In this counter example, I'm trying to use my legs to turn. But Laura, how do you tell the difference in the lead and follow of these spins? Well, just like in slower spins, the rate that Brooks moves my hand around my circumference changes. So for slower spins, that hand will go around slowly, making me feel more like a kick step down the line. Half, half. Half my body goes down the line at a time. For faster spins, my hand has to go around my circumference twice as fast. Half, half, half. So the difference should be really obvious. A few things to make it more obvious. Number 1 is think slow, relaxed thoughts. If I think that it's going to be the slow version of the turn, if it's the fast version of the turn, that's going to jump out at me. If I think it's the fast version of the turn, then my lead has to fight me and try to slow me down, which might end up feeling like a stop. Number 2, hold your shape in such a way where you can tell if your arms are moving. If I have a lot of wiggle room, it's going to be very difficult for my leader to communicate a good speed to me. If I try to keep my arm more of a 1-to-1 ratio, especially during turns, then hopefully as fast as my leader's hand goes, my hand goes, so my body goes. And of course, a lot of this stuff just comes with time and practice. Believe it or not, when you're focusing on really complicated things, such as Lindy Hop, if your arm moves, it's easy not to notice. So while you're dancing, even though you're having an amazing time, just try to oversee, check in periodically. What is happening with my shape? What is happening with how relaxed I'm trying to be? What is happening with my rhythm? It'll happen. And of course, as with all things partner dancing, the better you can do it on your own, the more you'll be able to bring to the partnership and the easier it will be. I hope you had fun and learned a lot. If you did, click like and subscribe for the algorithm. If you like the music, it's in the description. If you want merch, you can find that link in the description. And 50% of the money that I get from this YouTube channel goes towards organizations that support African diasporic art forms and artists, because this is a Black dance. And the best way to learn how to dance is to dance.